The grubs that appear in Hollow Knight are pretty well known to fans of the game. They can be found in jars all throughout the map, and freeing them allows the knight to earn some pretty useful rewards. Some things about the grubs remain mysterious, however, such as their life cycle and why they drew the attention of the collector. As with all aspects of Hollow Knight's lore, we can speculate and draw conclusions based on bits of information that were given. In real-life entomology, grubs are specifically beetle larvae. Hollow Knight's grubs look a little more like real-life caterpillars which metamorphose into butterflies or moths. The grubs in Hollow Knight supposedly turn into grubberflies, something completely fictional. We never actually see any grubberflies in the game, only see them depicted in the grubberfly's elegy charm, earned from freeing all 46 captive grubs. Grubberfly's elegy is one of 2 charms gained from the grubs, the other being Grub Song. Both are said to contain the gratitude of freed grubs, which is likely where the charm's power comes from. Grub Song gives the knight soul upon taking damage, and the grubs likely wanted to give the knight something that would help them when they were in trouble, since the knight had done the same for the grubs. Grubberfly's elegy is described as imbuing the bearer's weapon with a holy strength, which manifests as white-hot energy beams able to be fired from the knight's nail at a distance. This effect only occurs if the knight is at full health, but the charm synergizes with Grub Song and allows the knight to gain more soul from taking damage than without Grubberfly's elegy. Let's look at the grubs themselves and their life cycle. Grubs are described as having a very good sense of navigation and direction, which explains how all the grubs are able to find their way back to Grub Home in the Crossroads, no matter how far away the jar they were placed in was when they were freed. Grubs also like to collect shiny objects and keep them in their homes. The grub father is slightly larger and presumably older than the other grubs and is implied to be their biological or at least foster father. The description of the grubberfly's elegy charm suggests that once all the grubs return home, they will be ready to move on to the next stage of their lives. That raises the question of why the grub father himself doesn't appear to be a grubberfly having undergone metamorphosis. Assuming he is the grub's biological father, one has to wonder what happened to their mother. And of course, we all know where the grubs end up if the knight leaves Grub Home and then returns. I have a few speculations here. The grub father seems to take on the role of a living pupa for the grubs. It's possible that some grubs don't undergo metamorphosis so that they can become such living pupas for other grubs, or metamorphosis may only occur in female grubs. As for the grub's mother, if male grubs can become a living pupa, perhaps female grubs can become a living egg sac in a similar manner. The absence of the grub's mother would suggest that if this were the case, she did not survive the process of hatching the grubs, and the grub father may not survive his part either. I made a previous video all about the collector where I discuss its fascination with the grubs. To summarize, it likely put the grubs in jars to protect them from something like the infection or predators, and it may have taken them away from their home because it misunderstood the process of their metamorphosis and instead believed that they were in danger. The grub mural in the Tower of Love, which the collector likely drew, seems to suggest some unique power or property of grubs, possibly even related to the holy strength imbued into the grubberfly's elegy charm. The grubs being able to undergo metamorphosis and move on to the next phase of their lives is significant to the game's overall narrative. Before the knight arrives, Hallownest has been in stasis for an indefinite amount of time, but once they begin their journey and start making changes, things can finally move forward. We never get to see the grubs turned into grubberflies or what Hallownest will look like after any of the game's endings, but we have faith in the process and trust that the effort and sacrifice will be worth it. What do you think of the lore surrounding the grubs in Hollow Knight? Is there anything you'd want to add? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. If you're interested, please make sure you're subscribed and that you have notifications on. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.